Hello everybody, my name's Drew Demon and I'm the Devil's Stockbroker. In a video that I recently published, I described the equity dividend for AMC's new B-class preferred stock that's going to be issued as a dividend to AMC shareholders. But what I came to realize shortly after is that this is actually a incredibly intelligent move by Adam Aron that has much bigger implications for AMC shareholders than we may realize. And that's because I believe that this actually has a way to verifiably count the number of naked shorts that may be outstanding for AMC right now. This could be the way that we finally get an accurate count of naked shorts because of the nature of this particular dividend and how it's being structured, and the fact that it's being sprung entirely on brokers in such a short window of time, as that they will not be able to hide from the reality of all the counterfeiting and all of the generation of synthetic shares. One more thing that I have to go over is the actual terms of this dividend and what this actually means for naked shorts, because this is actually not being talked about as far as I am aware. And I think that Adam Aron may actually be a genius, or at least his financial team are geniuses for what they're doing. Okay. So I created this Twitter thread that I published here, and I'm just going to read it aloud to you and kind of extrapolate on what I mean. So CEO Adam Aron cracked the code on counting the AMC naked shorts. Brokers will never tell the truth, but the ticker symbol APE will. So buckle up. We'll try to keep this short and sweet. So the AMC dividend is a 1-to-1 dividend for APE. That's AMC preferred equity. Only one share of APE will be delivered per share of AMC. So according to the terms of this dividend, brokers must deliver these shares on the 22nd of August. This is the first date where the ex-dividend is executed and trading begins. So anyone who does not receive their APE shares on the 22nd of August, it will create 1 FTD per share not received. And this is how we count the shares. So there's no other way for an FTD on a newly issued stock, which is what APE is, to occur except if the broker fails to deliver it. And every FTD that's marked against APE on August 22nd is going to be the number of shares that should have been received by retail shareholders. So each failure to deliver of APE is equal to 1 naked short of AMC. So the reason why this works is because every shareholder of AMC is entitled to 1 share of APE per share of AMC. And because AMC, the company, is only issuing 1 share of APE per AMC outstanding, then in theory, these should all be delivered unilaterally to all shareholders of AMC. Now, every APE that is not received indicates that it is a naked short against AMC, because what's actually going on, and I'm going to break this out into a little bit of an example. If there's, let's just say, 1 billion failures to deliver for APE on August 22nd, then that means that there was 1 billion synthetic shares on AMC. So let me break this down a little bit further. In the case of AMC, we don't know how many synthetic shares are circulating in the market right now. And the way that this system works, the way that the broker has structured things, or brokers in this case, because there's a lot of them, the brokers are the ones who are actually lending out and marking these positions. The broker makes money on the fees, and that's why they're incentivized to do this. They're making all of their cash by rehypothecating these shares that are not supposed to exist, but nevertheless, they tell whoever wants to take a short position, they're like, sure, yeah, totally, we've got the shares, wink, wink, here's your share, you go ahead, short that into the market. But what they're doing is they're creating that share out of thin air. It's a counterfeit. By counterfeiting something, you are creating a duplicate, a copy of something that should not exist. So if this happens, where you have 1 counterfeit for every single real original share of AMC, that doubles the float. That doubles the outstanding shares, however you want to phrase it. But each person that's holding that one share of AMC, whether it's a counterfeit or not, they don't know. They can't tell the difference, but they are entitled to their share from the dividend. Everybody who purchased a share is entitled to the dividend. So this is the risk that the broker has taken, and they have made a huge fucking mistake. They went and shorted out a whole bunch of shares that should have never been sold out into the market. They created all these counterfeits that should not exist. And now, because of that, the broker is the one who's on the hook, because the broker has to deliver all of those shares of APE once the dividend is executed. So there is a downside to this, and that is that FTDs won't be reported on August 22nd until, I made a mistake here, it's actually September the 15th, not the 30th. So at the end of the first half of September, then all the FTDs for the last week, the last half of August will be reported. By then, hopefully, it won't matter though, because the brokers know now that if they have, if they let the truth out, then they're screwed. So they have only one option left. They either have to cover their shares in order to hide all the illegal activity that they've been doing and hide all of the counterfeits. They have to post whatever dollar amount is necessary to satisfy sellers of AMC in order to get those shares out of the market. They're going to have to post whatever cash is necessary in order to fill those sell orders. So the broker is now in a lose-lose scenario, because if they don't satisfy that, if they don't reconcile all those counterfeited shares, then they're going to be on the hook for them. And then you have the SEC and FINRA coming down on all of these bad acting brokers that were lending out shares that they never should have been lending out. And now this is happening all across the market, and I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, so forgive me, but JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, and a handful of other of the smaller broker-dealing banks, I suspect but cannot prove that Goldman Sachs and most likely New York Bank of Milan are also involved. These companies, these large banks, these institutional broker-dealers, have been doing this for a long time. This is how Wall Street runs the game. This is risk-free, it's risk-free money to them, except when suddenly the company gets wise and they figure out a way to fight it and put you up against a wall. Now, the broker dealers are going to be put in this situation where they're going to have to take an absolute beating in the market by filling all of these buy orders and rhythmically, consistently trying to drip feed, taking shares out of the market until such a time as when they're able to finally reconcile all of the counterfeit shares and get them off their books. And if they don't manage to do that in time, then they're going to have the SEC, FINRA, and the DOJ possibly pending an ongoing RICO investigation, because that's still going on, by the way. The DOJ still has an ongoing RICO investigation that involves 3, at least that we know of the largest banks on Wall Street. So all that being said, this zero-sum game is just about to come to a close, and Adam Aaron just basically played checkmate. So at this point, the DD ends, but I do want to put forward this possibility, because it's a very real possibility that I think that everybody needs to contend with, that we must accept that this possibility exists, that nothing might happen to the broker dealers, to the banks, and the bad actors. I hope that that's not the case. I'm very much hoping that I'm wrong about this. But the question remains is, what if no action is taken against these guys? Or what if it's just another slap on the wrist, another cost of doing business? Because the amount of money that they would have made on these billions of synthetic shares being traded back and forth in the market that they've been continuously lending out and recycling, rehypothecating for literally a year and a half now, they've made stupid sums of money, billions of dollars at this point. And if the SEC and FINRA only fine them like a few million, or not at all, what are we going to do about it? What satisfies? What are we willing to take as recompense for all of that? Because these guys have been stealing from us. They have been stealing from us by counterfeiting these shares into the market. And we've been fighting and screaming and trying to get everyone's attention for over a year to try and communicate this to all of the regulators and the police on Wall Street to do something about this. And it's only once it's finally been taken out of their hands and once there is no denying it anymore, and that now the market is going to chew them up and spit them out, or they have to admit their wrongdoing and figure out a bailout plan, only then is any action, and only then is there going to be any pain felt by the bad actors who put us through all this bullshit. So, what happens? And in that case, what are we going to do if nothing happens? What are we going to do if we sit and watch that fraud happen with zero consequences? It pains me to say it, but sometimes bold action is needed. And people often disagree with me on this, but I doubt anything will happen. I hope I'm wrong, but I doubt that anything will happen unless an otherwise civil society takes some very uncivilized action against the criminals who run our markets and our regulators. And I'd like to leave you with this question. What would you do if the entire police force worked for a mafia? How would you deal with that problem? I guess at that point, it's up to the FBI and the DOJ. But what if they're owned by the mafia too? What then? This is not an easy question to answer, and I'm not going to claim to have the answer. But in my experience, looking back at history, every time that society has favored the corrupt and the elite, accepting the needs of the few or the wants of the few over the needs of the many, that is when society completely breaks down. And whether we like it or not, the only conclusion is that it turns violent quickly. I am very much hoping that I'm wrong about this, but I am really concerned where we're going from here. So I am urging FINRA and the SEC to finally look at this. When this data hits, when the information is staring you in the face, do something about it, or you are likely going to face a very large crowd of very angry investors who not only have been cheated by the system, but the criminals who punished them for their participation are being protected by the police. This is the time for bold action by the regulators and by the government. If it doesn't happen, then there will be consequences for it. I want to thank you for taking the time to sit with me and listen to all of this due diligence and this research and trying to understand the thesis and the actions taken by the AMC executive team in order to work for its shareholders in order to increase their value, and for your work in trying to understand the way that our markets are functioning and being a part of this movement, because this is a movement. This is a truly powerful movement. If you're watching this video, you've probably been here with us for quite some time. All you veteran apes that have been beaten up and punished for your participation in the markets over the last year and a half. I want to take this time to thank you and to honor you for your dedication to trying to save an American company and simultaneously standing up against one of the most powerful groups of institutions, the most powerful organizations, the wealthiest individuals in our modern society. The retail investor throughout this entire movement has been David standing up to the largest giant with nothing but stones as its weapon. It's a really incredible story, one that I'm very proud to be a part of. And I am sincerely hoping to see us all rewarded for our tremendous efforts and our loyalty to AMC. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this content, please do me a favor and help out myself and Hell's Trading Floor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and consider joining Hell's Trading Floor by jumping into our Discord at discord.gg/Hell's Trading Floor. That's all I got for you for today. I look forward to seeing you on Monday, but until then, have a hell of a weekend.